from the catastrophic losses of 1941 to the hammer blow at the Reichstag, a philosophy of mass production and brute force that overwhelmed the Wehrmacht. This is the complete technical catalog of the Soviet Red Army. Let's start with the light tanks. T-26, the backbone of the 1930s. Based on the British Vickers 6-ton, it was the most numerous tank in the world at the start of the war. Though heavily armed for its size, its thin armor made it an easy target for German guns. BT-2, the Speed Demon, the first Soviet tank to use the Christie suspension. Designed for deep penetration warfare, it prioritized speed over armor and could run on wheels without tracks. BT-5, the Upgunned Racer, an improvement on the BT-2, fitting the larger turret of the T-26 to standardize the 45mm gun across the fleet. BT-7, the Cavalry Tank, the definitive Christie tank. With sloped frontal armor and a more reliable engine, it served as the doctrinal ancestor to the legendary T-34. T-37A, the Swimming Scout, the first mass-produced amphibious tank in the world. Armed only with a machine gun, it was used for reconnaissance across the rivers of Eastern Europe. T-38, the low-profile swimmer, an evolution of the T-37A, making it wider and lower to improve stability in the water. However, it was too lightly armored for combat. T-40, the heavy swimmer, designed to replace the T-38 with a heavy machine gun and better armor. It was quickly forced into frontline combat during the defense of Moscow. T-50, the mini T-34, highly advanced for a light tank, featuring thick sloped armor and a diesel engine. It was excellent but proved too expensive to mass-produce during the crisis of 1941. T-60, the Desperate Scout, designed and produced rapidly using truck components and an aircraft cannon. While weak, it kept the Red Army armored when major factories were being relocated. T-70, the Workhorse Light. It replaced the T-60, featuring thicker armor and a 45mm gun. Using two truck engines welded together, it was the second most produced Soviet tank of 1942. T-80, the anti-aircraft attempt. A T-70 with a modified turret to allow high-angle fire for urban combat and anti-air duties. Production was cancelled as light tanks became obsolete. Before we move to the next category, if you liked this video, don't forget to like and subscribe to WarDex for more military history. Next is the medium tanks. T-28, the land battleship, a multi-turreted pre-war design influenced by the British Independent. It was designed to break through enemy lines but was obsolete by 1941. T-34, Model 1940, the Shocker, the tank that terrified the Wehrmacht. With revolutionary sloped armor and wide tracks, it rendered German anti-tank guns useless in 1941. T-34, Model 1941-42, the Standard, the refined version featuring the longer F-34 gun and a simpler cast turret. It became the symbol of Soviet resistance. T-34-57, the Tank Hunter, a specialized variant armed with a high-velocity 57mm gun. Designed to punch through heavy armor, it was a sniper tank produced in limited numbers. T-34-85, the Victory Tank. To counter the Tiger and Panther, the turret was enlarged to house a massive 85mm gun and a third crew member. It drove from Kursk to Berlin. OT-34, the Flame Tank, a standard T-34 with the hull machine gun replaced by a flamethrower. Unlike other nations, the main gun was retained, disguising its deadly nature. T-44, the Future, developed to replace the T-34. It featured a low-profile torsion bar suspension and a transverse engine. It saw limited combat but laid the blueprint for the T-54/55. Moving on to the heavy tanks. T-35, the Propaganda Giant, a massive, 5-turreted heavy tank. It looked terrifying in parades but was mechanically unreliable and impossible to command effectively in battle. KV-1, Model 1939-40, the Impenetrable Fortress. In 1941, a single KV-1 could hold off entire German divisions. Its armor was immune to nearly all German guns, though it was plagued by transmission failures. KV-2, the Bunker Buster, a KV-1 hull fitted with a massive box-like turret housing a 152mm howitzer. Designed to destroy fortifications, its high profile made it a priority target. KV-1S, the Speed Upgrade, S stands for Skorostnoy, speed. A stripped-down KV-1 with thinner armor and a new gearbox, attempting to make heavy tanks keep pace with T-34s. KV-85 the stopgap. A KV-1S hull fitted with the new turret of the IS-1 to bring the 85mm gun to the field while the IS series was finalized. IS-1 ISF Stalin, the transition, the first of the Stalin series. It fixed the mechanical flaws of the KV series. It was quickly replaced when the 85mm gun was successfully mounted on the lighter T-34. IS-2 the hammer, armed with a massive 122mm gun derived from field artillery. Its high-explosive shell could tear open concrete bunkers and knock out Tiger tanks with sheer kinetic energy. S-3 the pike nose, featuring a radical pointed front hull and a frying-pan-shaped turret for maximum armor deflection. It arrived too late for major combat but terrified the Allies at the Berlin Victory Parade. Next, the self-propelled guns, SU series. ZIS-30 the tractor makeshift, an anti-tank gun mounted on a Komsomolets artillery tractor. Unstable and unprotected, it was a desperate measure to get high-velocity guns to the front. SU-76 the People's Support, built on the T-70 chassis. Lightly armored and open-topped, crews nicknamed it the Bitch due to the harsh cold. Yet, it was the second most produced Soviet armored vehicle. SU-122 the assault howitzer, based on the T-34 hull. It lacked a turret, mounting a 122mm howitzer directly in the hull to blast bunkers and infantry concentrations. SU-85 the tank destroyer, based on the T-34 hull. It mounted the 85mm anti-aircraft gun to counter the new German Tigers before the T-34-85 was ready. SU-100 the sniper, an upgrade of the Su-85, fitted with a powerful 100mm naval gun. It could penetrate the frontal armor of a Panther tank at long range. Su-152 the Beast Slayer, Zveroboy, built on the KV-1 chassis. Its massive 152mm howitzer could blow the turret off a Tiger tank with a single high-explosive hit. Su-122 the heavy support, built on the IS-2 chassis. It carried a long-barrel 122mm gun for long-range anti-tank duties and heavy artillery support. Su-152 the city leveler, the successor to the Su-152 on the IS chassis. It served as heavy assault artillery, destroying entire buildings during the urban fighting in Europe. Next, the armored cars and tractors. BA-20 the civilian scout, a light armored car built on a JZ-M1 civilian car chassis. It was used for command and liaison but was too fragile for direct combat. BA-10 the heavy scout, built on a truck chassis but armed with the same 45mm gun as early tanks. It gave Soviet reconnaissance units significant firepower. BA-64 the Soviet Jeep, influenced by captured German armored cars. It was small, fast, and used sloped armor. It replaced the heavy armored cars for liaison duties. Komsomolets the armored tractor, a small, fully tracked tractor used to tow anti-tank guns. It had a machine gun for self-defense and armor to protect the crew. Voroshilовets the heavy hauler, a massive heavy artillery tractor powered by a tank engine. It was capable of towing the heaviest Soviet howitzers through deep mud. Finally, the Lend-Lease vehicles, Red Army Service. Valentine, British, the quiet professional. Soviet crews loved the Valentine for its reliability and low noise. It was used extensively for reconnaissance until the end of the war. Matilda II, British, the slow shield. Initially valued for its thick armor, but its lack of high-explosive shells and problems with snow clogging the skirts made it less popular. M3 Stuart, American, the high-octane issue. While fast, it required high-octane fuel which was rare in the USSR. Crews found it too lightly armored, calling it a grave for two. M3 Lee, American, the grave for six. Disliked by Soviet crews due to its high silhouette and rubber tracks that burned easily. It was relegated to secondary fronts like the Arctic. M4A2 Sherman, American, the EMKA, highly valued by elite guards units. Crews appreciated its reliability, comfort, and the fact that it didn't explode as easily as T-34s due to wet ammo storage. M10 Wolverine, American, the foreign hunter. Supplied in limited numbers, The Soviets used them strictly as self-propelled artillery regiments rather than tank destroyers. M2/M3/M5/M9 half-track, American, the mechanized spine. The Red Army produced almost no APCs of their own. These Lend-Lease vehicles were critical for moving infantry alongside tanks. Universal Carrier, British, the ubiquitous carrier. Like the Commonwealth, the Soviets used these for everything from towing guns to reconnaissance. BM-13 Katyusha, Stalin's organ. Though technically artillery mounted on a truck, often a Lend-Lease Studebaker, it is the iconic vehicle of Soviet firepower. From the light tanks of the Spanish Civil War to the heavy armor that crushed the Third Reich. This is the technical catalog of the Soviet Union.